Hello everybody, welcome to Drawing with Waffles. I really struggled with coming up with an idea for this one because first I was thinking imagination and creativity, but when I shrank it down to the thumbnail and it was time to actually write down what I was going to call this picture, I don't know, I was just looking at her eye and I ended up coloring it this blue fluorescent color, and so I decided to call her Blue-Eyed Girl because it's not so much about, she's not special, she's not unique to anyone else because she has this imagination. I think everyone has that kind of imagination, so I wanted the name of this drawing to be very simple and very generic because anyone can be this special if they, use their imagination. So that was kind of the thought behind the name process. And when I was drawing this, I don't know, I just got this random idea. I was like, creativity just spewing out of your head. So that's what I went with. And here I actually decided to change her hair because I wanted her hair to be a bit more flowy and majestic in a way, so that's why I did that. And then with her feet I did struggle a bit, but I decided to cross them in like that. Yeah, I think that turned out pretty well. And then once I had sketched that all out, I decided to add the color for her creativity because I knew I wanted it to be very rainbowy and very smoky and very almost fantasy-like. So that's what I'm doing right now, and I just used the lasso selection tool and drew in the shapes I wanted for the colors and then just filled them in with the paint bucket tool. Later I go over it with a soft-edged brush to make it look a little bit more smoky, and I really wanted it to be very rainbow, so I started with a very light yellowish green and then made my way over to the orange. And then I thought the color wasn't standing out enough from the white background, so I added this darker gray to the background, and that also allowed me to create an almost cloudiness around it that was glowing. I guess it's just glowing. So I added some glowing to the outside, and because the background was darker, the glowing was able to show, because as soon as I changed the background back to white later, I realized, you can't see that it's glowing, so I decided to leave it that dark color because it looks pretty cool. And now I'm doing the line art, and I actually used the wrong size brush for her chin and her face and stuff. I don't know if you can tell. I can tell, and it bugs me that it's a little thicker than everything else in the drawing. But here I just flipped the canvas to fix her face. And if you're ever having trouble with your drawing and it just doesn't look right, and you can't figure out what's wrong with it, try flipping the canvas, because that usually works for me, and I can see exactly what I don't like about something. And sometimes it means I have to redo a part, but it ends up being a lot better in the end, and I don't feel... oh, salad fingers. And I don't feel like something's wrong anymore. I know what's wrong and I can fix it. Then I just adjusted her sleeve because one side was much larger than the other, and then started doing the line art for the legs. I decided to give her leggings, so they're not very detailed pants, so it's very simple, so I just added the lines. And then these toes, let's just not look at the toes. Yeah, let's work on the hair. Okay, so here's her nice flowy hair, and I've never really drawn flowy hair before, so this was a bit of a challenge, but I kind of like the way it turned out. Not so much with the liner, but later I also go in and added some extra hair strands that were blowing around, and it definitely helped the look. Then once the liner was done, I added the color, and I knew from the get-go that I wanted the color from her head to be the only color in the picture, except for highlights of it hitting her skin. So I made sure that her whole body is everything's gray tones. So we've got her skin's a very light gray, then her shirt's the next lightest gray, then her pants, and then her hair is also they're all different darknesses of the color white and black. I don't know, gray. So it's just a bunch of gray because her life's very boring and gray, but her imagination is very bright and beautiful. And I really wanted to capture that, so that's what I was thinking about the whole time. So I think it worked pretty well. And here I am adding the strands of hair. Well, actually, no, I'm shading the hair. Psyched myself. Okay, so I shaded the hair, and then after I finished shading the hair, I added these sections of hair just to make it look like her hair wasn't just chunky, but actually had strands. Then I also realized that her skin was a little bit too bright compared to the rest of her colors, so I decided to darken that just a little bit, and I definitely like the way that looks better. And I also added some blush to her cheeks and such, but I didn't use a reddish tone. I again used a gray tone, and it just, furthers the point that there's no color in her world except for in her brain, currently. Then after I just finished a few little details that were missing, there were some sections in her line art that weren't colored, so I just went through and colored that. And then when I thought that all looked good, I moved on to adding all the refracted light to her. So there's a lot on her hair, and I think on her shoulders and her shirt and her face definitely, and that really helps it look like that the color was actually really there, and it was like reflecting off of her and actually creating an impact on her life, and I thought that was kind of cool. And here I am adding that blue eye I told you about because I realized I wanted something else, some other part of interest to the drawing, and I decided to open her eye and add that like fluorescent blue that I mentioned earlier. And with that, I think I was basically done. So again, I want to thank you guys for watching. If you're watching this video when it's live or still in the month of May of 2015, my contest is still currently open, so you can check that out by hitting the link on the screen and, you know, check out the contents and maybe enter if you'd like. There's some pretty cool prizes, so it doesn't hurt to check it out. Yeah, so that's my drawing, and I hope you guys all have a delicious evening full of waffles. Bye!